introduction, really appreciate it. Where we find ourselves today is dependent on decisions made by either us or made by those around us. There are two such decisions that have shaped me and brought me to where I am today. The first, my mother's decision to major in chemistry, and the second, my father's decision to major in electrical engineering. Even though my mother had not practiced chemistry for almost 10 years before I was born, somehow, somewhere, a seed of chemistry had been planted in my brain. At the age of 12, my mother was helping me prepare for an English exam. I was supposed to be learning what Samuel Coleridge wanted his readers to feel when he wrote the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. However, like any other 12-year-old, I was distracted and lost in my own world. I interrupted my mother mid-sentence and asked her, if there is such a shortage of water in the world, why don't we open a cylinder of hydrogen and a cylinder of oxygen in a room and make water? She stared at me for a couple of seconds and said, get back to your studies. About an hour later, my mother, having given up on all hopes of me getting an A in the exam, gave me the answer to my question. You needed energy. Even a little spark of electricity would facilitate the reaction between hydrogen and oxygen to give you water. For the benefit of everybody in this room, the reaction between hydrogen and oxygen to give you water is highly exothermic. Please do not try it at home. Believe me, my claims are not stories. That little spark helped me out when at the age of 16, I had a decision of my own to make. What did I want to do when I grew up? It was a really tough question for me. And when I realized that I was really good at science and math, and really liked science and math, I decided to pursue a science or engineering field. I didn't want to do exactly what my parents did, just because it was what my parents did. So I decided to pick the chemistry aspect of my mother's background in organic chemistry and the engineering aspect of my father's background in electrical engineering and pursue chemical engineering as my background. I was very fortunate to complete my undergraduate studies at the Indian Institute of Technology in Bombay. Looking back, chemistry and electricity have played a role in every major part of my life. We all know about the chemistry of pheromones in our body. I had first-hand experience of this particular type of chemistry on the first day of undergrad. I was supposed to be meeting this girl who was in the same class as I. When I was headed to the designated meeting spot, I saw her. She must have been about 15 feet away, and my heart started pacing. When I finally got to where she was, all I could manage is, hi, I'm Ankur. She said, hi, I'm Sam. And then our hands met. Our pheromones instantly liked each other, and they sent a small spark of electricity to my racing heart which skipped a beat. 10 years after Sam and I met, we got married. And that was only because of chemistry and a little electricity. Another very important aspect of chemistry and electricity in my life is food. I love food. I love the thought of food, love the sight of food. I love the thought of eating food. And the best of all, I love eating food. Randy here will tell you that I open my snack drawer about 10 times a day. In fact, when I told my wife that I was going to write my icebreaker speech, she suggested that I write the entire speech over my obsession of food. My favorite type of food is sweet, and this fondness for sweetness gets the better of me once in a while. Yesterday when I was in Kathy's office talking about my icebreaker speech, I really wasn't focusing on the conversation because she had a candy jar on her table. You see, when you take something that's considered sweet and place it on your tongue, the compounds that cause the sweetness bind to the taste receptor cells on your tongue. This causes a series of chemical reactions inside those cells and changes the ions moving inside those cells. This change in ions sends a small electrical current, better known as to your brain and makes you say, wow, today's dessert is fantastic. I have come to the realization that chemistry and electricity form the absolute core of who I am. Every morning when I wake up, I'm faced with three questions. The first, what decisions have brought me to where I am today? The second, where is chemistry and electricity in what I'm going to be doing today? And the third, where's my food? Back to you, Ken.